Welcome back to Coaching with Impact, the go-to podcast for female coaches ready to elevate their coaching business and make a lasting impact on the women and the people that they serve. So I am Fifa, and I own Fame Modern Creative Studio, helping diverse female coaches shine with confidence through an elevated online presence using web design and holistic brand strategy. Today, I have Steph joining us. I'm so excited because there's so many things that I've been watching you do, and you are truly incredible at the things that you do. She's incredible. But I'm gonna ask you to talk a little bit more about yourself because I know you are the visibility queen. So we're gonna dive a lot into this topic. So please tell the audience a little bit more about you.
I love that you said visibility queen because I don't say that anymore, but it used to literally be on my Instagram bio for like months, like maybe over a year. Yeah. So I'm like, we only met more recently. Like, how did you know that? So amazing. Thank you so much for having me, honestly. This is so freaking awesome. I know, like I said, we met relatively recently, but it's been such an amazing connection. Like we seem to have so many similar values, like ways on how we like to connect and like build community and create impact. So I'm really, really excited to just connect with you more and to be here on the Freebie podcast. A little bit about me. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Steph Wharton. I'm a leadership and visibility coach. And really what I love to do is to use my brand through my free content, my paid offers, etc., to just help underrepresented folks take up more space, build confidence, and ultimately embrace their speaker identity. I think that that's something really freaking cool. We focus so much when we first start our own business on traditional marketing, on social media, email, SEO, whatever might be your cup of tea, like however you like to show up. But I feel like when it comes to really creating more impact and like making a difference and like essentially like raising up the volume on what we care about and what we want to like make a difference through, whether it's again your free content or your paid offers, speaking can just provide such an amazing platform to do that. And it changes the dynamic from having to just push out so much content and reach your existing followers and community to all of a sudden getting in front of new people and like really making a difference on like a larger scale. So I'm really freaking excited about being able to support people through that. And yeah, that's basically what I do day in and day out. And it's what I like to embody myself too. Hence why I'm here on a podcast with you right now, trying to do the same, just to share what I'm really passionate about with more people.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? I really love that you are helping underrepresented folks. And I like that when you said allow them to take up space, because that's what women fear a lot of the time, especially those that are underrepresented. They get a lot of pushback, and it's a little harder, right? Well, a lot harder for them to show up in front of people and just do their thing. So that's why I really resonated with what you said, and that's why we're connecting, really. And I connected with everything that you've been sharing because that is really what I also value that a lot, right? I'm also like Asian, so that's also the thing too. But I know that you haven't always been into like the visibility and leadership thing. Like you started off as a designer from what I know about you. So share a little bit more about that. Like what caused you to pivot and shift your focus to now helping those that are underrepresented to build that confidence and visibility?
Yeah, honestly, it's a bit of a long story. I think some of like the bigger themes is when I first started in the design world, I was designing brands. I was doing a little bit of brand strategy as well, which the way that I did it was a lot coaching based. So that kind of gave me a taste of what coaching was really like, and what made me realize that I actually enjoyed that, and I was better at coaching than I was at designing. So I was like, oh, you know what? Like maybe I should go with my strengths. So that's essentially what led me to pivoting into the coaching world. But when it comes to transitioning from, let's say, design, which was ultimately, it was a hobby for me at first. It was something that I picked up because I was so freaking burnt out with my corporate job. I was in the insurance world for about 7 years. And for the last like 1 to 3 years, my memory doesn't serve me very well anymore. That was like it feels like it was so long ago. But for roughly 3 years, I was really, really burnt out. I was taking on more work. So I really needed a hobby, and design became that. So when it came to transitioning into coaching, some of the themes that I started to notice was that I loved, loved, loved being able to collaborate with people. So some of the ways that specifically I was noticing it was working for my business is that a lot of the clients that I was signing, that I was working with, they were all just randomly somehow coming from some type of either speaking engagement or from a collaboration or from some like random creative partnership that I was doing with somebody in the online space. And I'm like, okay, like hold up, like there's something's happening here, right? Like let me try and figure out if there's almost like a method to the madness, if there's something that I can reverse engineer in order to come up with a strategy that's uniquely my own. And through that, I started investigating. And yes, it was definitely all rooted in just whenever I was having fun, whenever I was speaking, whenever I was basically just coming together with other people, as cheesy as it sounds, whenever the theme was community over competition, that's when I was signing the most clients. That's when I was creating the most impact, even just through my free content and people just reaching out, being like, oh, I heard you speak on XYZ. Like, I loved what you were saying. Like, I haven't really heard that perspective before. And I was like, oh, I'm like, that's a lot more impactful, or it feels a lot more impactful, maybe just because I'm receiving that external validation, but a lot more impactful than just the content that I'm putting out on Instagram, on social media. So that was kind of like my little flag, if you will, my little like pivoting moment where I was like, I need to fully embrace this like leadership, especially thought leadership and visibility, speaking as my zone of genius, because it's literally how I've been building out my business, even without meaning to do so. And that was kind of like my big pivot. And I was like, okay, I've let go of the design part because it served its purpose. I loved it while it was happening. I embraced coaching. Now I'm embracing leadership and visibility. And it just naturally turned into my mission, my bigger mission, to help underrepresented folks. Because I mean, I'm personally queer. I'm a Latina. I was really shy growing up. And whether it's because of stories like conditioning, trying to be like that stereotypical good girl and doing all the right things and checking all the boxes and trying to always see the right things and fit in and whatnot, I've always, to a certain extent, held a lot of sides of me, a lot of parts of me back, and just tried to do what would succeed and show up a certain way. And I know that those are themes that they just really hit home with a lot of people like that I work with, whether that's other Latinas, queer folks, women of color, neurodivergent people, even just like regular people, like just humans with hearts who have those same kind of blocks, those challenges where you just have to feel, where you feel like you have to be perfect and do all the right things in order to succeed. And that chips away from your authentic self, right? And how you are meant to show up in this space in order to like really thrive, be happy, create the kind of impact that you want. So kind of, hopefully, long story short, that's kind of where my journey led me to where I am today, working with the kinds of people that I'm working with and doing the things that I'm doing. And it just feels very much like fulfilling, as opposed to just loving what I do, but doing it because, I don't know, because it's better than what I was experiencing in corporate. It's like, no. Like, this is what I'm meant to be doing. And that's like another level of like, damn, this is awesome.
Yeah, that's incredible. Because yeah, but that's how you're building your impact, right? That is where you feel like, okay, this is fulfilling me, but this is also helping so many other underrepresented people out there to just find their voice and to just like do it, own it, you know? So that's why I love what you do, and that's why I also serve like those that are underrepresented and those who are, you know, more like diverse people who don't really get that stage to really shine on. And that's also why we've connected so well, because we're both serving the same type of people. When it comes to collaborations now, like you mentioned, you know, that is really the epitome of your success and really what gets your business going. What types of collaborations are you talking about? Do you do specifically a lot of like podcasting? I know you have your own podcast as well. So talk to me a little bit more about what that looks like.
There's a lot of different layers. One of the things that I'm doing right now is I am prioritizing a couple of things. So podcast interviews, guest speaking inside of like coaching programs, and if anything, potentially either virtual or in-person events. So that's kind of like my core. And what I love to almost do in terms of like focus is to go through different visibility tours, if you will. So if that's my focus today, amazing. Maybe the next round, I'll want to do media features on online magazines. I'll want to do more blog posting, and maybe I want to collaborate with people and do like cross blogging, right? So you have your own written blog and somebody else's. So you have like backlinks and everything and driving traffic in that way. And what I love about that is that it really, depending on how you want to be visible and how you want to collaborate with people, you get to find ways that really fit with your energy and whatever season of business or life you're in. So I say life. Like I'm literally at the very tail end of a 3-month long mat leave right now. So right before my mat leave, what I was doing is planning I would say my first official visibility tour, because before that I was just kind of like booking collabs and speaking opportunities willy-nilly, whereas now I'm a lot more intentional. So I was planning that so that I could disappear for 3 months while still being able to share my mission with people on different platforms, both my own and other people's, and feel like I'm still helping, I'm still making a difference, and I'm still supporting my business because I'm being more visible and people are finding me, joining different programs, even joining the free community, like whatever that might be, or just following you on social media, like even if it's as simple as that, and people can just connect with you that way. And that is essentially how I like to structure it, is just figuring out what it is that you need, what is it that you're trying to accomplish in this season, and then plan your visibility collaborations that way. So for me currently, just to answer your question, yes, it's podcasting and either virtual or in-person events right now.
Cool. Okay. So those are like some of the things that you also help your clients with, really trying to get visible outside of social media. Because for the longest time, like me too, like I realized as I also got older and as I learned more about myself, being a projector, if you're into human design and all that stuff, I realized I have such limited energy. I'm an introvert and, all these things. So I realized like social media used to be my thing, but now after I got burned out, I realized like I have to do something more sustainable with my energy and with the limited capacity that I have. Like, what does that look like? So I love that you're focusing a lot on things outside of social media, because now the first thing that people usually think to market their business is, okay, the first thing is I'm going to go on Instagram or I'm going to go on Facebook or whatever. But there are so many different ways to get visible. And you mentioned speaking is a really big way of getting visible. And I realized that over time too, that speaking is the best way to really just build that trust and connect with people directly.
I could talk about that literally all day. Yeah, we can dive in a little bit more. So with speaking, like I agree, it's just such an amazing way to, and sustainable way to get in front of new audiences, or even your existing audience if you want to host something, right? Like I've gone ahead and I've hosted an online directory. It was all through social media. So you almost get to like marry visibility with social media and then doing it beyond that. So then I moved that directory onto the podcast. So now I was interviewing people, sharing and amplifying their voices and what they were all about, what they cared deeply about. And now I had 2 collaborations, one on social media, one on my podcast, that would continuously put out content and create all these relationships. It would have cross promotion because now everybody being interviewed, everybody being featured on the directory was cross promoting too. So we're all helping each other. We're all sharing each other's businesses, brands, etc. And it was just such an amazing way to come together and do something just fun and cool like that. So that's like one creative example of how you get to be visible and speak either through social media or beyond. And you mentioned summits / like speaking overall as a more traditional way of speaking, right? Because sometimes I would fight people on this, but people don't see social media as speaking, and I'm like, it's your own platform, like it's your own stage. You can create real stories, like whatever you want, and that's your voice that you're using. So that could be an entirely different conversation. But beyond social media, the more traditional kind of speaking usually looks like speaking at a summit or speaking at an in-person conference or even guest speaking inside of programs and communities. So when it comes to that, yeah, like I remember there was one of my clients who wanted to specifically do summits, and it's such an amazing way to get in front of people. It's more personal because now they're getting to see your face, to hear about your expertise, and it feels a little bit more intimate than, let's say, creating mass produced content on socials, right? And through an event like that, they're able to grow their list. They're able, from the list, they're able to, if they want to, make sales as well. Like I remember there was one specific summit I spoke at, like I think it was the first one I ever spoke at ever. So it was like several, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And for the following weeks after the summit, I was making constant passive sales. I was selling templates. So it was just
Oh,
like,
wow.
it was like small, like low ticket, right? It was like $15 here, like $25 here, but it just kept coming. And I was like, this is
Wow.
amazing. Like I literally showed up once for 1 hour, and now we're just connecting with all these people for the next, like whatever the tail is, for a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, connecting with people, making sales, signing clients. And
Wow.
that was one of the events that like really like blew my mind when it came to the power of visibility, because I was like, that's super sustainable. I don't have to be, like you said, on all the time, whether you're a projector, whether you're an introvert, or whether you just have a family or other goals that you want to travel all the time. Like it doesn't matter why, whatever lifestyle or whatever your personality is, you might not want to be on socials 24/7.
That's
And
it.
visibility and speaking gives you that chance to still run the business, still work with so many more people, but without having to show up every single day.
Yeah, that's like a prime example of like, what you can leverage and what you can focus your efforts on just so that you can continue to build that passive income. And on a lot of the times, service-based businesses are the ones that are really getting tired out, right? Because like me, for example, I know I have to show up, but sometimes I'm like, I just don't have the energy. And especially that one time that, you get burnt out and then you're like, oh, okay, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And
It's
that's what I need to
funny.
get you. Yeah, because I'm like, you have so much to say about this, right?
Yeah, literally. I'm like, especially because I have so many friends, like having been in the service field, having been a designer before, a lot of my community happens to naturally be designers, even copywriters a little bit, like all that overlap. And yeah, like your work typically depends on how many clients you take on. It's a lot more, I gotta be on the computer, as opposed to, let's say, if you're a coach, which it can still be a lot of work depending on your business model, but typically for the most part, at least for me, I'm on my phone for 90% of my business, and I just voice message people. I'm replying to through Telegram, through Slack, whatever. And it's a lot easier to do on the go versus if
Yeah.
you're designing, you need your computer or your tablet or whatever, and like you're head down in it. So yes, those are a lot of times the entrepreneurs that are just like, I do not have the capacity to show up right now. So it's just
Yeah.
like, no, you gotta find whatever works for you, like something either more creative, more fun, more whatever, just to make it feel a lot more light and feasible, so that you actually want to show up and keep doing the thing, and essentially keep doing the marketing that's going to keep attracting the clients that you're wanting to work with.
Mm. No, I love that gold advice right there. And I know you emphasize a lot about the importance of being visible without being constantly glued to your phones. So, what would you say like are the types of habits or disciplines that you need to develop in order to prioritize your visibility efforts and maintain that balance?
I think, I mean, other than making a point of being intentional and quote unquote scheduling your visibility. So if you want to say, hey, every quarter, I'm going to tap in and see what are my goals for the next quarter or for the next 6 months, however amount of time, and how do I want to leverage visibility for that? So then you can plan your own tour accordingly, whether that's podcasting, events, whatever kind of like maybe behind the scenes collabs you want to do, but being intentional with that so that you're always almost like planning ahead, so that you're not scrambling last minute being like, oh, I should be on a podcast or I should do whatever other kind of marketing you want to do. So always thinking ahead, every quarter, 6 months, year, whatever. But other than being intentional, honestly, I think a lot of it has to do with mindset. So one of the things that I would say to really focus on is releasing a lot of pressure for one marketing platform or one piece of content to perform really freaking well. Because I
Uh,
see that all the time with my clients. It's like, oh, I posted today, or I've been posting for the past week and I haven't seen engagement. I haven't gotten any inquiries, any DMs, any sales. And I'm like, okay, I haven't either. Like, so what, right? Like, you don't make money off of every single piece of content you put out there. It's more
sure.
of like, I don't want to use the word consistency, but for the sake of this argument of conversation, it's like when you're consistent for a long period of time and you continue to show up, people that find you at different stages or that have been following you forever continue to consume your content until it finally lands, until it finally is the right time. They finally see that one piece of content, that one thought, that one concept or perspective that goes, oh, I'm like beyond ready for this, right? So you continue to show up and do the work. But if you put so much pressure on that, then now not only are we trying to perfect our content and do the right things and like fit ourselves inside of this like perfection box, and watering down our own essence, but we're also now almost entering hustle mode because it's like, well, I got to put out more content. I got to do more. And if we release that pressure, I love to use this concept of like plinko marketing. Like if you ever seen like a plinko board where you like you drop the chip and it like drops down, right? There are a lot of like Seg and Does and like those kind of events where you can like win a prize.
Yeah.
So if you envision that, if they're coming at the top, let's say a lead or just somebody in the world that's coming into your specific world, so they find you through a speaking engagement, then they drop down and they find your social media, so now they're over here, they're consuming content on your socials. Now all of a sudden they hear that you have a podcast, so now they're over here, and they keep dropping down all this entire board of your marketing platforms and essentially consuming content from different platforms until they make that decision at the very bottom where they drop into your private coaching, your mastermind, your brand design services, your copywriting, whatever that might be. And it did not matter where you created that content, right? It did not matter how many times you show up, like whether the content was perfect. People will continue to consume your content whichever way it comes out. So when you start to see the fact that people can come to you and decide to work with you in an infinite number of ways, now it doesn't matter. There's not as much pressure to show up on social media every single day. So now we can take a step back and trust that they'll come. It doesn't matter how, they will come. So now, okay, let's get creative. Let's do what we actually want to do. So let's prioritize social media a little bit, but now let's get creative and go even bigger. Let's do speaking. Let's maybe have some like real estate on our website. So let's do blogs, maybe let's do email marketing, and you start to lean more into what will work for you long term and what you genuinely want to do. Like if you love to speak, do the freaking podcast. Like that's gonna be such a powerful way to get your word out, right? But if you hate speaking and you like to write, then you do email and you do collabs in that way. But now without that pressure, you get to lean more into your magic and like your personality and what really freaking works for you. And those types of visibility, marketing, etc., are going to be so much more powerful and so much more likely to unfortunately convert. I say unfortunately because it's just like, we should not be curating content to convert, but whatever. We're just gonna go with that. That you're gonna make so many more sales. You're gonna sign so many more clients because you're not in so deep being like, let me put up another post on Instagram. Let me put another one and another one and another one and another one, and just stuck in that like perpetual wheel of like content creation.
Yeah, no, I get that. And like you shouldn't be putting all of your eggs in one basket anyway. So, if you lose one platform, you never know. It's rented space at the end of the day, and you still need to put your content everywhere. And some people don't even engage. They read your post, they don't even like it, they don't do anything, but they're reading. Like people are reading your content, they're seeing your stuff. So don't feel so down when you don't get a single like or comment on anything that you post out there, but people are watching you, and that's one thing that we also have to remind ourselves as well at the end of the day.
1000%. I'm typically the type of like engager slash like content consumer that will just either look or just I'll like maybe I'll comment, but like it's a little bit rare. I usually stay to like the stories, let's say on Instagram. But then I'll pop up out of nowhere and be like, I've been consuming all your content. I have one question about this program or two questions. And then it's like, okay, where do I sign? So I'm one of those like out of the blue consumers slash investors. So if I exist, I know there's you probably too. There's a million other people that are silent lurkers and still consuming, still loving what you're putting out essentially.
Yeah, that's it. That's the best reminder of the day is really remember that there's lurkers around and just keep showing up. Now, I know that a lot of females and female coaches, they struggle a lot with imposter syndrome and self-doubt. Now, how do you help your clients overcome these limiting beliefs and build confidence in themselves and their work to actually show up?
It's lots of paying attention to what's happening inside of our brains, really. So what I love to do is pairing action. So putting yourself out there, even if it's in small little ways. Like I know that for a lot of people, especially if you have a lot of blocks around this, it can be hard to all of a sudden say, okay, I'm just gonna show up, right? So even if you have to find small ways to start voicing your opinions, saying what you're thinking, like what you really mean, and you start to play around with using your voice and with taking up space in the smallest ways imaginable, even if that means practicing in real life first or in whatever space you feel the safest, maybe in a private community with a bunch of friends, maybe in a private group chat, wherever you're comfortable taking up space, you start practicing. And as you start practicing, we end up doing a lot of coaching around what's coming up. And it's like, okay, what are the thoughts coming up? Are there any fears, any insecurities, any stories, old narratives, like the past experiences that are like coming up for you? Like, let's talk through that, right? Let's like navigate those and see where we can shed those old beliefs, those old stories that are probably not even things that you genuinely believe in, but that you've internalized based on things that you've experienced, society, the world, that they tell you that this is the way things are, or this is what the way should be in order for you to be successful, to make money, to be good looking, to be whatever, right? Like there's so much content and so many narratives that we consume around what is good, what's right, what's best, that
Yeah.
it's hard for us not to absorb that and make that unfortunately our own beliefs in a very subconscious way. So we end up doing a lot of that. But I say that the more that people start to practice, what's really freaking cool is a lot of my clients, and I'm sure a lot of people tuning in might even have experienced this themselves. It's as much as our thoughts are so unique and we're such unique people, a lot of us think the same way. We just don't talk about it. So this is one of the phenomenons that I'm seeing inside of threads is people are unhinged on there. They're finally just having fun creating content just for the sake of like saying what they're thinking. So some of it is personal, some of it is business, but they're just like spitfire getting content out. And a lot of things are coming out where people are like, oh, same. Haha. Oh my God, like I was literally just doing that yesterday, or like, oh, I'm not the only one. And there's so much energy around the themes of like, I'm finally in a space where I feel seen. I'm finally in a space where I feel heard, right? Like I'm not the only one, that kind of energy. So when clients start to take up space, start getting a little bit more comfortable playing around, challenge themselves with using their voice and sharing like their unique thoughts, they start to realize that there's a lot of people out there with those same thoughts, with those same values, etc. That all of a sudden it's like, oh, I don't have to hold back on those parts of me that I thought maybe weren't smart enough, good looking enough, let's say that they weren't going to make me money, whatever narratives are coming up. I actually get to thrive by sharing all this because people need to hear my story. They need to hear what's happening in this beautiful brain of mine. And those realizations, they become that kind of like empowering factor or breakthrough where it's like, ooh, I literally get to be myself. I get to take up space and connect with people, make money, create impact, do all the things that I've been dying to do, but putting too much pressure on myself to do it the right way in order to fit the box of what it looks like to be successful.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned threads because that's really why I like it too. Is the fact that you can just connect and have these conversations with people and just be like, "Oh, I feel the same way too. This person has voiced it, so now it makes me want to voice what I want to say."
Yeah,
So
I think on other social media platforms, we've slipped into pressure to curate our content in order for it to convert and in order for it to be considered marketing. So
yeah,
now we're trying so hard to put it all in this perfect messaging kind of bow so that it makes money. Whereas really what we need to do is almost get rid of the bow, get rid of the pretty box, still have messaging. Like you still want to be very intentional in what you're saying when it comes to your offers, so people understand what they're about, but to kind of peel those layers back and bring the threads energy into our other marketing platforms, into our speaking engagements, because that's what's really gonna allow you to connect in a deeper way, because they're your real thoughts, they're who you are at the core, and people connect with people. So it's so much easier to do so on a platform, at least right now, like Threads, as opposed to one that's so highly curated where you're only seeing the highlight reels.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why a lot of people are going towards Threads for that reason. It's so popular now, and
Right?
it's really getting a lot of attention now from people who are just tired of Instagram, where everything's just curated.
Yeah, which is hilarious because I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, in a way, it's the same platform, like owned by the
Yeah,
same people. Like
exactly.
it's just we're all just hopping back and forth between the same kind of family. But yes, I couldn't agree more. Like I made so many amazing connections, including you. So obviously, for now, I'm just thriving in Threads. I hope it stays like this for a very long time because it's a vibe.
That's it, because I know we know what happened to X or Twitter X. So I mean, that's what I'm hoping it's not going to turn into, but we'll see. For now, just enjoy the platform of using Threads until we'll see what happens until they make changes and whatnot.
Thanks.
We spoke a lot about visibility tactics and all that stuff, like different ways to get outside of social media and be visible. Now, as a final note, like I know you shared so many great tips. What is that number one tip that you'd like to share for coaches looking to get visible and build a lasting impact?
I would say get really almost like transparent, vocal, public with the fact that you want to be a speaker or that you are a speaker. A lot of people hold back from that. They think that they're not there yet. You're not big enough. You're not making enough money. You don't have enough clients, whatever that may be, in order for people to want to listen to you. But people are already consuming your content. People are already tuning in. You're already influencing, right, through your existing marketing and content. So to actually own the fact that you're a speaker or want to be a soon to be a speaker, that can go a really long way, because now people know that this is part of your business model, right? Like it's the same way that you talk about your offers, you want to talk about your speaking. Otherwise, how are people going to know that this is something that you do? So start owning it in small ways, even if that just means putting the word speaker on your bio or talking about it through your content, inviting people to reach out to you to book you for speaking opportunities. I think that goes a really freaking long way, because the more you start to put it out there, the more you start getting opportunities, and then the more speaking experience you have, then it just skyrockets out of there, right? And you just keep booking and booking and booking and connecting with more amazing people and having a larger platform or larger means to reach people with your message, your mission, and create that impact that we're all looking to make.
Mm, I love that advice. And I know that that's something that you help your clients with too. Is speaking is like a big one on your focus and what you help your clients with. So what's one exciting thing that you have coming up that you're working on or would like to share for the audience to look into?
Absolutely, yeah. One of the things that I'm doing inside of my business and soon to be helping a lot of people to inside of theirs is with mapping out our own visibility tour. So this is literally me, inception moment, on one of the speaking engagements of my own visibility tour that I'm booking out for 2024. So it's really freaking exciting. But what I'm doing is I'm gearing up to relaunch Visibility Tour, the challenge. It's 30 days, lots of prompts, community, accountability in order to help you create content through your social media in order to attract speaking engagements seemingly out of the blue. And it's kind of cool because technically I haven't started the launch yet. Like I tend to do different rounds throughout the year. And we've already welcomed in 3 new clients and 3 past clients into the challenge. So just like, it's happening. Like visit inception moment again. Like visibility is doing the thing while I'm away on mat leave. Like, let's get it. So
Oh,
I can't freaking wait to just like bring that challenge back out. Invite people, anybody who would love to book speaking engagements, join the challenge. It's going to be a freaking vibe.
oh wow. Well, that sounds like something I want to do.
Love it. You're more than welcome to join if you'd like.
Yes, yes. I am going to share more details about that. I'm going to drop some links, but yeah, definitely check out the visibility tour, check out Steph. And where can people find you?
I would say social media, unfortunately, as hilarious as this sounds, hypocritical or whatever. Instagram is probably the best place. That's where I tend to come back to between speaking engagements.
Cool. Okay, so definitely check out Steph. Follow her on social media. Check out her tours and her offers. You need to be visible, and you need to be visible without burning out. So make sure to make time for that. But thank you for your time. Thank you for your wisdom today on our podcast. I'm excited to have everybody tune in, but I appreciate you. And yeah, like definitely continue tuning into this podcast because we have a whole load of other incredible guests like yourself to share more experiences and more knowledge to other coaches within the industry. Thank you again.
Thank you.